All right, so we're back. And in this video, we're going to start off right where we left off, and that is by starting to create our actors in the game. We're going to create a new actionable actor, which our pickups and our harming location is going to inherit from. So to get started, we're going to start with that. So the first thing we're going to do is create an actionable actor, and that's going to start off from an actor. So create a new class, actor class. We're going to name it actionables. And once this gets finished, we're going to go ahead and get started in the header file, of course. All right, so let's go ahead and go on to our header file. And in here, we're going to start by forward declaring a class. And we'll put it right up on top here. And this class, it's going to be a U spare component. All right, and then we're going to come down here. Right in the protected area here. And we're going to start entering some more stuff here. Beginning with a U property, which is going to be U property, visible anywhere. And we're going to put it in the category called components. This here is going to be a uStatic mesh component. There we go. And we're just going to call this mesh comp. There we go. All right, we're going to go ahead and copy that and put one right up above it. And we're going to make this one a scene component. All right, and then the other component that we're going to have is going to be a spare component, which is actually going to be our trigger zone. So let's just go ahead and take out this and put spear in. We're going to make sure to change this one. It's going to be called this scene component. That one stays the same. And this one will be this spear component. All right, coming down here to the public, we're going to go ahead and put a virtual void. And this is going to be a different way of doing the on overlap. So it's going to be a notify actor begin overlap. And then of course we're going to start the other one as well. So we'll just copy and paste it down. And again, we just have to change the begin to end. Like so. Let's just go ahead and get this looking good. And all right, that should be it. Let's go ahead and get these defined. All I'm doing is hitting the control key plus period, and that actually does those options as a shortcut key. So control period, and it creates it. All right, so before we move on to the source file, we have everything in our header file. We've defined everything. So I think now would be a good time to build it. This will make sure that we've entered in everything correctly. We don't have any typos. And then we'll move on from here. All right, that was good. So let's go on to our source file. All right, so in our includes, we need to add some of these includes to the mix. I like to put the engine.h in case we need to do some debugging. I can remove it later on, which I will do once we know everything works. The next include is going to be our player character. We're going to need the player character because all of these are actionable actors, and therefore they're going to interact with our player. so they need to know when they're overlapping them. The next include, we're going to go ahead and get the Kismet gameplay statics, followed by including the components that we're going to need, starting with the scene component. Now we're going to go ahead and include the spear component. And the last one, or should be the last one, is the static mesh component. And I believe that's it. Let me just double check. Yep, that should be it. So now we're ready to go ahead and start the constructor. So in here, the tick, we're actually not going to need the tick, so we're going to take that out here. And then come over to our header file and we can delete it from there. If we need a tick again, we can always go ahead and add it back in as an override in our child actors. Remove it here. Okay, so where were we? Oh yeah, the constructor. All right, so what we're going to do is start by including the scene component. So this scene component equals create default subobject, and that's going to be of a scene component. We're going to call this root. All right, so the next property we're going to set on the scene component is declaring it as the root component. So root component equals this scene component. Right there. All right, so the next thing we're going to work on is the mesh component. So this mesh component equals create default subobject. Use static mesh component. And we're going to go ahead and call this mesh comp. Like so. Some of the properties we're going to do. This mesh comp and pointing arrow. Oh, I found out a neat trick you might have already known. If you actually press period, it'll automatically put the arrow there. I don't know. I just found that out. Thought it was cool. Figured I'd share. Anyway, back to what we're going to do. And what we're going to do here is set the collision. So set collisionable. And we're going to set this to have no collision. The mesh component's not going to be able to collide. All right, so now we can go ahead and get started on the next one, which is, of course, the trigger component. So this spear comp is equal to create default subobject. There it is. It's going to be of a use spear component. And we're going to call this trigger. There we go. This thing is going to have a couple of properties we need to set, because this one is going to be able to have collision. So this spear comp, pointer arrow, and we're going to set collision enabled, and we're going to set it to query only, which means we're going to enable collision, but only on certain objects. What objects? Well, that's going to be this spear component, pointer arrow, and set collision response to all channels right there. And we're going to set it to ignore. And now we're going to do it again, except we're going to do it to a channel. So set collision response to channel. And we're going to set this to pawn. So ECC underscore pawn. And we're going to set it to overlap. Last thing we got to do, and that is set the attachment, which looking up, we need to set it up on top as well. So let's go ahead and do both. This spear component, pointer arrow, set attachment. I'm going to set it to the scene component. And we can just go ahead and copy this part of it and bring it up to the top one. And there we go. All right, there are those. And right now we don't need to do anything with these. We may in the future, who knows, but they're there if we need them. And I believe that is all we need in this actor. So what we're going to do is save and compile, and we'll go on. All right, so that worked. So we can go ahead and minimize that. And you can see our actionables here. We're going to go ahead and create a class. There we go. Derived from the actionables. We're going to call this one health pickups. And go ahead and hit create. I want to go ahead and go through the details of the first pickup, and then we'll kind of fast forward through the second one. So here, let's go ahead. I don't think I'm going to need these. Close those out. And we're going to go ahead and start in our header file. Our includes are fine, so we don't have to worry about those. So the first thing we're going to do is create a protected section. And here we're going to declare a void play effect method. And we're also going to need a public section where we're going to have a U property. We're going to make sure it's editable anywhere. And the category is going to be effects. This is going to be a U particle system. And we'll call it pickup FX. We're also going to need our overlap events. So a virtual void, notify begin overlap. And the parameters for that, of course, are other actor. All right, so let's go ahead and get these defined. We'll get this one going. All right, and then this one. Oh, there, get that little box. There we go. Create implementation. All right, so from here, let's go ahead and start getting these things defined. With the play effect, we're going to go with the U gameplay statics. And we're going to actually do this one called spawn emitter at location. And the location is going to be this world. So this. And the effects is going to be the pickup effects. We're going to get actor location. And we're going to get the actor's rotation. Is there a rotator? And we're going to set that to true. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and get a condition in here. So we only run this if an FX is actually present and selected. There we go. All right, so that is underlined because we forgot to put the include in. So we'll go ahead and do that right now. Actually, I just had a idea. Because the FX now has a condition, We could technically put it into the parent of actionables, which would make better sense versus doing the play effect code over and over again. And we already have the notify overlap events there, so we might as well take advantage of them. We can put the pickup effects right here. So I need to go ahead and grab all of the code though, so all of the function. So let's go back to the CPP file. We'll paste that in, and now we'll highlight it all and cut it out. All right, and then we can come over here and delete that. We're not going to need it. We'll just go ahead and come back down here and we'll type it in here. So void play effect. And then we just go ahead and paste it in. Right there. Like so. And if we look up on top, we already have Kismet there, so that should be good. Let's just compile and save just to be safe. Typically with copying and pasting, I forget something. While I wait, I see I did miss the supers here, so I'll start adding those in. Oh, hold on. Yep, I forgot the namespace, which means I forgot to change A health pickups to A actionables. So we're going to go ahead and copy and paste it in. All right, let's continue on with the supers. We'll get these fixed. All right, on the begin overlap, we're actually going to call the play effect. Like that. And then we can just go ahead and fix this one, and we should be all set. So we're going to save and compile. And it appears I forgot to declare the pickup FX on this one. So let's go ahead and get that declared in our header file. Just going to go ahead and copy it or cut it over and paste it in. Perfect. Compile, save. All right, so that's all set. And now that's part of our parent class. So let's close that out and head back over to our pickup. All right, where do we leave off? All right, so here in our source file, we need to go ahead and do our super here. All right, so now what we're going to do is cast our player character. Oh, I forgot the include, so let's go ahead and get that. And yeah, we need to fix that as well. Player character.h. And let's get this out of here. A player character. And we're going to create it as an other character. And of course, just a standard cast. So cast a player character from other actor. The next thing we're going to do is check it. Make sure that line was actually run successfully. So if other character. And now if that was successful, what we're going to do is add an health pickup to our character. And we're going to add 1. We could do a variable and have it be a modifier or whatever, but for this, we're just going to use 1. And now that that's done, all we have to do is destroy our pickup. All right, perfect. Should be able to compile and save. And if this compiles, then I will just fast forward through the other pickup and we'll be good. All right, perfect. So now we have both of our pickups all done. Everything looks good. Let's go ahead and close these out and we'll create one more object, and that will be the zone that will cause damage to our player. To do that, of course, we're going to create a class derived from our actionables. This one here we're going to call Flaming Plane, and that'll make sense in a minute. Okay, so in our header file, we're going to go ahead and get started here. We're going to go ahead and go to our health pickups, and we're going to actually just get this. We'll just copy and paste it, save some time. Right there. That's pretty much all we needed there is the overlap. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and get this implemented. And because most of this code is the same as the other ones we've done, I'm going to go ahead and move past this. All right, so this is a spot that's going to be different from the pickups, because instead of giving a item to the character, we're actually going to cause some pain. So we're going to need other character. Oops, I forgot the equal sign there. There we go. All right, so again, other character, pointer arrow, and we're going to find our function there, our method to add. So add health, there it is. And we're going to make it do a damage of 20. Perfect. Well, that's it. Pretty simple, pretty easy. We can move right on. That's saying I missed the semicolon somewhere. I don't see it. I think it's lying to me. Let's go ahead and compile and save. All right, good to go. Let's go ahead and minimize that, and I believe we are ready to go back to tying everything together. But first, let's create some blueprints. And I'm going to go ahead and fast forward through the blueprint portion of this. I think we are at this point all familiar with blueprinting and creating our characters and such. All right, perfect. We'll just compile this, and as you can see, we have all of our actors out on the world. We have our damaging zone in there. So once this gets compiled, we will go ahead and mess with our HUD and get things bound together. Let's go ahead and click on the health bar. We're going to need to find the percentage so we can bind it. All right, I'm going to go back. Yeah, not there. There. We're going to go back to the design, and we're going to get all the nodes started. So percentage, where is it? Right there. All right, back to design. And the text. We don't want the button. We want the actual text. There you go. And we're going to bind the content. All right, back to design, and right there. All right, so to bind these, it's pretty simple and easy. We'll go ahead and start with the health bar. Just drag this off to the side here. We're going to right click and get the player character. And we're going to cast this to our blueprint version of our character. All right, and this is actually a good time to explain what a callable versus a pure function is. A callable has those execution nodes on the top, those white ones there. But when you right click and create pure, you lose those. All right, so that's the difference. All right, so now we're just going to pull off and get our function. We're going to need to get the health percent, and we just need to drag that in. And that's all we needed, so we're going to go ahead, move that up, and just copy those two. We'll need those over and over again. So compile, save. Here we go, stamina. Copy those in. Again, we're just going to pull off. And this time we're going to get the stamina percent. And drag that in. Perfect. All right, so now it's the pickup. Drag that over. It's a little different, but not too much. We're still going to need the player character. Drag it off, and now we're just going to call the other function we created. Get pickup count for the health. And if you notice what happened, it does an automatic conversion right there from the int to the text. And coming over to the return node, drag that over again. And the last one, again, now we just need to call our function to get the pickup count of our stamina. There it is. And again, there's the conversion. Compile and save. And we should be able to go back here and try it out. There we go. And let's start picking up some pickups. There's one. Seems to be working. Now notice he is triggering the effect, but he's not able to pick them up. All right, so there's that. And we are interacting. Let's go ahead and try to pick up as many of these as we can. Don't sprint, it makes it harder. All right, so we have our pickups. That seems to be working. We're counting and everything. And when I go on to here, you can see I'm losing health. Right now I don't have any ability to use my pickups, but you can see I'm counting and you can see my health is going down. I'll take a quick minute and put in that feature, but for the most part, thank you very much for watching. I hope this helps, and we'll see you in the next video. All right, so if you made it through that little time warp and you're still watching, then I'll give you a teaser on the next video. It is nothing more than a challenge I gave to myself. I'm going to create pickup text, so text that hovers over the pickups. And in doing so, I'm not going to use any visual tools. So no UMG editor or designer. It's all going to be written in C++. So again, I hope this video helped. And if you watch the next one, I hope you learned something from it. It took me a long time to figure it out, but I think I got the basics down. So see you then.